Time to put all the theory we learned thus far into action. And what better use case than to start working on our recipe book application, this big project we will build throughout the course. Throughout the course, we will add many features to it like directives, routing, HTTP access, and in the end of the course, we will also optimize this project. But let's start small. Let's create this course project here, and let's also start adding our first components which make up this project. Now, to start it, I'm here in my command line to create a new project with the ng CLI, with the Angular 2 CLI, and I navigated into the folder where I want to create this project. Here, I simply run ng new, and then I'll name this recipe book, since we're going to build a recipe book. Of course, you may choose whatever name you like. I also want the CLI to give each component I create in this project a special prefix. By default, the prefix is app, so app minus component name. The prefix, remember this is important to have Unix selectors for our components so that we don't accidentally override default HTML tags or interfere with some third-party packages. So I want to use the RB prefix for recipe book. And in order to tell to tell the CLI to use this prefix, I can add the -- prefix flag here and then RB. And now this will prefix all my components with RB. So now I hit enter and let the CLI set up this project. Of course, this takes a couple of seconds and I'll be back once this is done. I opened up the created project in WebStorm, my IDE. And as a side note, if you're seeing the node modules folder and I don't seem to have it here, my IDE is just hiding it. It is there. Now in this project we have the folder structure I showed you in the first module of this course. And here we will work in the source app folder, where we have this app component and all the other files. I can get rid of this spec file since we won't write unit tests here, and I will also get rid of the CSS file since I don't want to have any component specific styles for my app component here. Of course, I should also then delete the style URLs property here in my component decorator. So that is my app component, and this is the basic setup I will use. Now to give this application some basic styling, I want to fetch Bootstrap, so the Bootstrap CSS framework. This will give us some nice styling without us having to write all this styling on our own. So I will simply head over to getbootstrap.com and there click on download Bootstrap and simply fetch the CDN link here to the Bootstrap CSS file. We only need that, we don't need the JavaScript because we will write our own code, our own JavaScript or TypeScript. So back in the project, take this link and go to the index.html file to insert it here. This will load the styles in our index.html file and therefore for the whole application, which is exactly what we want because I want to use Bootstrap all over the application. Now what I also want to do is, in my app component HTML file, I will get rid of this title here because I don't need it anymore. We know that it works. We saw that in the modules before. And therefore, I also remove this title property in my app component class. So this is the base setup here. And now let's think, what are we going to add? What do we want in this recipe book application? Because right now it's not that awesome, is it? Well, we certainly want to have some kind of navigation. Because I imagine a recipe book where we have a recipes section and a shopping list section, where we can add ingredients of a recipe directly to the shopping list. And for that I want to have a header where we can navigate between recipes and shopping list. So we will definitely have a header component, and we also need a recipes and a shopping list component. Now in the shopping list component we might have a component which allows us to add items, and then the list component which actually displays the list. In the recipes component, we might have a component which holds a list of our recipes, and then a component when we click on a recipe which loads this recipe with the image, the text, and the ingredients. We might then also have an edit component which allows us to edit an existing recipe or create a new one. And there might be some other components we need. So quite a lot of components. Well, I will start with that in the next videos. And I also want to highlight that since right now we don't have routing, I will place them all on the same page. Later on, of course, we will distribute them and use our header to load the section we want to go to. So let's start working on these components in the next video.